Subscribe for more Reddit stories.
Vindictive cheating wife is tearing me apart. Hello all, new to the forum and was recommended to come here by a friend. Let me tell you about my marriage and family first. I'm 48, wife is 40, married for 10 years, 2 beautiful smart children, 10-year-old girl and 3-year-old son, buying our home and now going through a divorce. Wife has depression and anxiety and has been admitted into the hospital for 5 days because she wanted to kill herself. She pulled a knife on herself twice during our marriage, but was only admitted once. She's a beautiful busty blonde. During the first 9 years of marriage, my wife and I have had ultimate trust. This was until I found out she lied to me. Then the lies just started to pop out of the woodwork. One day she said she was going to her girlfriend's house, and later I read a text message from that day that showed she didn't go there but to another man's house. I didn't say anything to her at that moment, but then started to watch her text and her phone more closely while she was sleeping. During the same week, I read a text to another guy that said, "I want you all to myself." I then woke up at 2 a.m. and questioned her on these 2 texts. The next day, she called the first guy and told him she couldn't come over to cut his hair no more as it was causing marital issues. She made this call on speakerphone so I could hear the whole conversation. His response was, "I understand, not just for a haircut." A few months have passed and my wife is having kidney stones. She is diagnosed with a kidney disease. The doctor prescribes Vicodins for her pain. She has taken these in the past for her menstrual cramps, but I never seen this as a problem. One day she calls me at work and tells me her bottle of pills came up missing. She then was blaming my friend for stealing them. I searched the whole house looking for these pills as this was about to cause a friendship to come to an end. I searched for the pills and come up with nothing until a few days later. I found a pill bottle in her purse in her car that had 31 of these Vicodins in there, and the bottle didn't have a label. I was on my way to work then. I didn't tell her I found these pills, although how could I miss them? And later that day, she calls me to tell me that she called her doctor to tell him the bottle was stolen. So the doctor ordered her another script. She says to me the doctor believed her and that she hopes to get by the pharmacy to pick them up before they close. However, I go and pick up the script after work, but called her before I did. She says to pick them up and let her know how many and what strength they are. Well, I didn't call her back, just waited for her to come home that evening. When she walked in the door, her first words were, "Where are my pills?" She then sets her purse down, and as soon as I had a chance, I opened it to see the bottle I seen earlier was in there. It wasn't. So she wants to order food, and I go and pick up the food, but I take her car. While in her car, I find the unmarked bottle of pills in her console. I put them into my pocket when I got home and came inside to eat. Once I finished my food, I threw my container away, grabbed up the new script, came back to the table, and pulled the unmarked bottle out and set it on the table. Her reply was, "Why did you take them out of my car?" I'm like, "What the hell are you doing driving around with my kids and an unmarked bottle of pills?" She's like, "My friends give them to me." No. Ain't no one gonna come off of that many pills for free. Not buying it. And it's just odd that the number of pills in this bottle are the same amount that just came up missing. I got a friendship on the line due to this. Tell her I'm leaving for the night and I'm taking the boy with me. She says, "Sack, I got a problem. I enjoy taking them." I said, "Well, think about it overnight. I'm leaving." But she doesn't want me to take my son with me. I take the boy into his room to get him dressed, and she comes into the room, sits down in front of the door, blocking us in. I tell her she's gonna move or I'm gonna move her. So I did. She's not a light woman by any means, but within my capabilities to move. Well, during the move, I put a bruise on her arm. I leave with my son for the night. I come back in the morning as I took her car so she couldn't leave for the night. This happened on a Friday. And on Saturday, I set her down and give her the options: divorce, split up, or make it work. If she chose to make it work, we must seek marriage counseling and she needs to seek help for her pills. She agrees. So we start seeing a counselor. She makes it through 4 sessions and quits. I've continued to go and still continue. A few weeks later, I find an unopened condom in my truck after she gets out. What the fuck? A few more weeks later, her friend calls me up to tell me that she can't keep living my wife's lies. She informs me that my wife has admitted to cheating on me with a couple of different guys, but when I ask my wife, she says I only told her that to make her feel better about having an abortion. What? I get a hold of her phone again and listen to her voicemails. I hear one message that says, "Why are you starting rumors about us seeing each other?" I'm now totaled heartbroken, but continue to try to make it work, although now I have a full-time job playing detective. I go up north for the 4th of July and come to read a text that shows she had another man at my house while I wasn't there. Just doesn't end. August 28th, my dad calls me to tell me that he's been diagnosed with cancer. 4 weeks later, he passes. 5 days before he passes, I find my wife at this guy's house, and so I took her car and drove it home, just to let her know I know what she's doing. Then all hell broke loose that night. A few weeks later, I find her cell phone in her car, and I watched her type in the lock code the night before, so I unlocked it to find a text chat with the guy she was with when I took her car. They're telling each other that they love each other, and they're meant to be with each other. Also, they say that they hope this all passes soon, and they'll get through it together. I take a picture of her phone with this message. I showed it to her father to show him she's lying to him also. He's appalled. Next day, someone cut my transmission lines. I called the cops and go back into the house to ask her what her boyfriend's last name was. She immediately calls the cops by 911. She gets them there faster and tells them I was threatening her. I merely asked her a question. Later that afternoon, I hired a lawyer. Time for the divorce to start, but she's already filed. Monday, I come home for lunch. She's passed out and the 3-year-old is wide awake. I take her phone out of her hand and hide it. Tuesday, her and I are texting all morning. I come home for lunch. She's not home. I find her at the park with her boyfriend and my son. I pull in and start taking pictures. I get into a little confrontation with the boyfriend. He grabbed my arm and I got in his face and told him I had every reason to kick his ass. Before I leave to go back to work, I try and kiss my wife to make him jealous. I also tell her I'm gonna be fighting for my kids as she don't need them. I go back to work, and when I come home, she was baiting me to come home. An hour later, the cops are there and arrested me for domestic violence. She has a witness that says I choked her and slammed her against the car, and it's not her boyfriend. I spent 21 hours in jail for something I didn't do and now have to prove my innocence. I've been ordered out of my house. All I got is the clothes on my back. She went and got a PPO against me as well. She changed the locks too, so I can't get in to get my stuff. Now I'm on an emotional roller coaster. What could possibly happen next? What should I watch for? Looking for any advice.